One rainy night, Keanu Reeves hears a voice that stops him dead. A 12-year-old girl, Mia, singing her heart out in a subway station, clutching a beat-up guitar. She's not just busking, she's chasing a dream to honor her late dad, scraping by to help her mom with crushing debt. Keanu drops a few bucks, but something in her eyes pulls him back night after night. He's no stranger to loss, and this kid's fight hits deep. So he steps in, quietly, boldly, to change her life. From a subway platform to a national stage, Mia's about to shine, but how far can one man's kindness take her? Will her voice carry her dreams, or will the weight of her past hold her back? Stick around to find out and tell us where you're watching from. Love stories like this? Hit subscribe for more. Keanu Reeves didn't expect a kid's voice to hit him like that. He was just waiting for a subway train, hands deep in his pockets, when a clear, soulful melody cut through the station's hum. It wasn't loud, but it carried strong, sad, alive. He followed it, drawn like a moth to a flame, until he saw her, a girl, maybe 12, hugging an old guitar, singing to a handful of strangers. Her name was Mia, he'd learned soon enough, but right then it was her voice that grabbed him, pulling him closer to the edge of her small world. He stood there watching. The girl's fingers strummed the worn strings, her song a folk tune that felt older than she was. A few people slowed, tossed coins into a cap at her feet, but most rushed by, heads down. Keanu didn't move. Something about her wasn't just talent, it was hunger, a quiet fight in her eyes that he recognized. He'd seen that look before, in people carrying more than they should. He stepped forward, dropped a few bucks into her cap and said, "That's a hell of a song. Where'd you learn it?" She paused, sizing him up with a glance. "My dad," she said, voice soft but steady. "He taught me, wanted to be a musician, but didn't make it." Her words hung there, heavy with what she didn't say. Keanu nodded, letting her talk. She wasn't begging for pity, she was just answering, honest and raw. "I'm saving up," she added, almost to herself, "for a music competition, big one. I want to show what I can do." Her eyes lit up, but there was a crack in her voice, like she wasn't sure the world would let her try. Keanu felt it then, a tug in his chest. This wasn't some kid killing time. She was chasing something bigger, something that mattered. He'd been around long enough to know dreams like hers could slip away too easily. "You've got something special," he said, keeping his tone light. "Don't let it go." He pulled out a subway ticket, pressed it into her hand. "Get home safe, all right?" She looked at him, surprised, then nodded, clutching the ticket like it was more than just a ride. He meant to walk away. The train was coming, its rumble shaking the platform, but her voice started up again, softer now, singing a new verse. Keanu froze. That sound, it wasn't just music. It was defiance, hope, pain, all woven together. He stepped back into the shadows, out of her sight, and listened. The station faded. Announcements, footsteps, all of it, until it was just her. He'd met plenty of people with stories, but this girl was different. She wasn't asking for help, yet every note she sang felt like a call he couldn't ignore. Keanu's mind raced. Who was she singing for? Why was she out here alone, pouring her soul into a crowd that barely noticed? He'd lost people, parents, friends, and he knew that kind of ache. It was in her voice too, but she wasn't broken. She was fighting, standing there with nothing but a guitar and a dream. He didn't know her full story yet, but he wanted to. No, more than that, he needed to. This wasn't about charity. It was about seeing someone who deserved a shot. He stayed until her song ended, the last note lingering like a spark. She bent down, counted the coins in her cap, her shoulders slumping just a bit. Keanu clenched his fists. Most people would have kept moving, caught their train, forgotten her by morning, but he wasn't most people. He'd been where she was, not the same, but close enough, alone, pushing against a world that didn't always care. He couldn't fix everything, but he could start somewhere. As she packed up, slinging the guitar over her shoulder, Keanu made a choice. He didn't know how deep her story went, but he was going to find out. He slipped away before she saw him, the rumble of the train swallowing his steps. Her voice echoed in his head, clear as a bell, and he knew one thing for sure. This wasn't the last time he'd hear it. Something was stirring, a pull to do more, to make sure that spark in her didn't flicker out. He'd be back. And next time, he'd bring more than a ticket. Keanu couldn't get her voice out of his head. That girl, Mia, singing in the subway like the world owed her nothing, stayed with him, a quiet echo that pulled him back. He found himself at the station again, eyes scanning the crowd until he spotted her in the same corner, guitar in her arms, singing a new song. This one was different, slower, heavier, like a letter to someone gone. Her fingers moved over the strings with care, each note carrying a weight that made his chest tighten. He stayed back, just watching, letting her music fill the space between them. Mia's voice wove through the station's noise, but she looked smaller tonight. Her hands trembled, maybe from the chill, maybe from something deeper. A guy tossed a quarter into her cap without looking. Another snapped a photo, grinning like she was a tourist attraction, then walked off. Mia didn't flinch. She just bent down, adjusted a string, and kept going, her song unbroken. Keanu's jaw clenched. She wasn't here for their pity or their pictures. She was here for something real, something most of them didn't see. He stepped closer, casual, like he hadn't been thinking about her for days. "You still got that other song in you?" he asked, voice low. Mia's head lifted, recognition flickering in her eyes. A small smile broke through, faint but warm. "You're back," she said, almost surprised. "Yeah, I can sing it." She strummed a soft chord, but he waved a hand. "Tell me about this one first." He nodded at her guitar, settling against a pillar, giving her room to talk. She hesitated, then let it spill. "It's my dad's. He wrote it before he was gone?" Her voice caught, but she pushed on. "He died last year, left us with a lot of debt. Mom's working all day at a factory, trying to keep us afloat." She looked down, fingers tracing the guitar's worn edge. "I sing to help her out, but it's more than that. Dad always talked about this big music competition, national stage, real deal. He never got there. I promised him I would." Keanu stayed quiet, letting her words sink in. Her eyes were red, but her voice didn't waver, not once. She wasn't asking for anything, just laying out the truth like it was all she had. He saw it clear now. This kid was carrying a promise heavier than any 12-year-old should. Not just for her mom, but for a man who'd never hear her sing again. "You're doing a lot," he said, careful, like he was stepping around something fragile. "That's no small thing." Mia shrugged, but her lips trembled. "I have to, for him." She looked up, eyes fierce despite the tears threatening to spill. "I'm gonna make it to that stage. Show him I can." Keanu felt it hit him hard. Her grit, her pain, her fire. He'd known loss, the kind that leaves holes you can't fill. Hers was fresh, raw, and yet here she was, singing through it, standing tall in a station that barely noticed her. He reached into his pocket, dropped a 10 into her cap. "Keep that guitar warm, all right," he said, forcing a grin. But inside his mind was racing. $10 wouldn't change her world. It wouldn't touch the debt, the long shifts her mom pulled, or the miles between her and that stage. He stepped back as she started singing again, her dad's song filling the air. Each word was a memory, a fight, a dream she refused to let die. Keanu's throat tightened. He'd been here before, not in a subway, but in moments where hope felt like a long shot. He'd clawed his way through those. Mia was doing the same, but she was just a kid. He didn't leave right away. Her voice held him there, pulling up things he'd buried, his own losses, his own battles. He thought about walking away, catching his train, letting her be just another story. But that wasn't him, not anymore. Mia wasn't just singing for coins. She was singing for a chance, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was meant to hear her. Not just hear her, but do something. She didn't know it yet, but her fight was his now too. As she finished packing up her guitar with careful hands, Keanu slipped into the crowd. Her song lingered, a promise he wasn't ready to break. He didn't have a plan, not yet, but he knew one thing. He wasn't letting this kid fight alone. He'd be back, and when he came, it wouldn't just be with a $10 bill. Keanu couldn't stay away. Mia's voice had rooted itself in him, a stubborn melody that played in the quiet moments between his days. He kept finding himself back at the subway station, drawn to that corner where she stood with her guitar, singing like her life depended on it. Each time, he'd linger, drop a few bucks in her cap and listen, not just to the music, to her. He wanted to know what kept her going, what fueled that fire in a kid who should have been anywhere but here, strumming for strangers. He became a regular, blending into the station's rhythm. Mia noticed, started nodding when she saw him, her guarded smile softening a bit each night. He'd ask about her songs, her dad, her dreams, piecing together her world, one conversation at a time. She didn't spill everything at once, but he didn't push. He'd learned long ago that trust comes slow, especially when life's taught you to keep your guard up. Still, he listened, and every word she shared tightened the knot in his chest. One night she was singing her dad's song again, the one that felt like a bruise and a prayer all at once. Keanu stood back, phone in hand, and hit record. He didn't tell her, just let the app catch her voice, clear and raw, rising above the station's drone. When she finished, he played it back, low enough so she wouldn't hear. Her voice gave him chills, not because it was perfect, but because it was alive. Every note carrying her fight, her loss, her hope. He pocketed the phone, knowing he'd need it soon. "Hey," he said, stepping up as she tuned her guitar. "Tell me about that competition you mentioned." Mia's hands stilled, her eyes flicking to him, wary but open. "It's a big deal," she said. "National stage, real judges. Couple months from now. I want in, but..." She trailed off, glancing at her cap, half empty with coins. "It's not cheap. Entry fee, travel, all that. I'm nowhere close." Her voice was steady, but he caught the strain, the way her shoulders sagged when she thought no one was looking. "I sing every night," she added quieter. "It's the only thing I'm good at." Keanu nodded, keeping his face calm, but inside he was burning. A kid like her, 12 years old, carrying her dad's dream and her mom's burdens, shouldn't have to scrape by for a chance. He'd seen enough of the world to know how it could crush people like her, snuff out their spark before they got a shot. Not this time. Not if he could help it. "You're better than good," he said, firm. "Don't sell yourself short." She gave a small laugh, like she didn't quite believe him, but he saw a flicker in her eyes. Hope, maybe, or just someone seeing her for once. That night, he made a call. An old friend, Jack, a music producer who owed him a favor. "Listen to this," Keanu said, sending the recording of Mia's song. "Don't ask who it is, just tell me what you think." Jack called back an hour later, voice sharp with interest. "She's got soul," he said. "Raw, untrained, but there's something there. Needs work, though. Coaching, maybe a studio." Keanu grinned into the phone. "Good. Keep that in mind. I'll be in touch." He hung up, already planning his next move. The next time he saw Mia, he brought a jacket. Thick, warm, nothing fancy. "It's chilly out here," he said, handing it over with another subway ticket. "Go home early tonight, all right?" She took it, her fingers brushing the fabric like it was a gift she didn't deserve. "Thanks," she mumbled, pulling it on, her eyes bright with something unspoken. Keanu stepped back, letting her start her next song, but his mind was racing. A jacket and a ticket were nothing. She didn't need handouts. She needed a door to open, a real chance to chase that stage she dreamed of. He slipped into the shadows as she sang, her dad's words floating through the station. That voice. It wasn't just talent, it was strength, the kind forged in nights like this, when the world barely noticed you. Keanu had been around long enough to know strength like that deserved more than coins in a cap. He pulled out his phone again, scrolling through contacts. A non-profit he'd backed years ago, one that helped kids with big dreams and empty pockets. He typed a quick message, planting the seed for something bigger. Mia didn't know it yet, but he was already moving, building a path for her to run on. He wasn't just listening anymore, he was acting, and he wasn't going to stop until her voice reached the stage she was born for. Keanu was moving now, pieces falling into place like notes in a song he could almost hear. He didn't tell Mia, not yet. She was still out there, singing in that subway station, pouring her heart into every chord, unaware of the wheels he'd set spinning. He wanted it that way, let her keep her focus, her fire. He'd handle the rest, quiet and steady, the way he always did when something mattered. He started with Jack, his producer friend, They met over coffee, the recording of Mia's voice playing softly between them. "She's a kid, Jack," Keanu said, leaning forward, eyes locked on his friend's. "Got a shot at something big, but she's stuck. Money, family, all of it. I need you to back her for a competition, national stage." Jack raised an eyebrow, skeptical, but the song kept playing, Mia's voice cutting through his doubts. "All right," he said finally. "I'll cover the entry, but she'll need coaching to hold her own." Keanu nodded, a spark in his chest. Step 1, done. Next was trickier. He tracked down Mia's mom, Anna, through a contact at the factory where she worked. He called her, voice calm but firm, explaining who he was, a guy who'd heard her daughter sing, who wanted to help. Anna was wary, her words sharp with a mother's instinct to protect. "Why would you do this?" she asked. Keanu didn't dodge. "Because Mia's fighting for something bigger than herself. I've been around long enough to know that kind of heart deserves a chance." He asked to meet, and when they did, he showed her the competition's flyer, told her about Jack's offer. Anna's eyes softened, her hands twisting a napkin into knots. "Okay," she said at last. "For Mia." That night, Keanu headed to the station, his steps lighter than they'd been in weeks. Mia was mid-song, her guitar humming under her fingers. He waited until she finished, then stepped up, casual as ever. "Hey kid," he said, a grin tugging at his lips. "You still want that competition?" Her eyes widened, searching his face. "What do you mean?" He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. The entry confirmation. "It's paid for. You're in." Mia froze, her guitar slipping slightly in her grip. Then her face crumpled, tears spilling as she hugged the instrument tight. "How?" she whispered, voice breaking. Keanu just shrugged. "Doesn't matter. What matters is you're getting your shot." She didn't ask more, just stood there, shaking, her smile brighter than he'd ever seen. Keanu felt his throat tighten. He'd done plenty in his life, big roles, big fights, but this was different. This was her dream, her dad's dream, suddenly real. He didn't linger on it, though. "Get ready," he told her. "You've got work to do." And he meant it. The next day, he brought her to a small studio where a vocal coach named Lena waited. Mia hesitated at the door, nervous, but Keanu nudged her forward. "Sing like you do down there," he said. "That's enough." Inside, Mia's voice came alive. Lena pushed her, shaped her raw talent without breaking its soul. Keanu sat in the corner, watching her hit notes she didn't know she had, her dad's song growing stronger, fuller. He saw it in her eyes, belief creeping in where doubt used to live. It hit him hard, how a kid could carry so much and still shine like that. He didn't say it out loud, but he was proud, like she was his own. Behind the scenes, he kept moving. Through a charity he'd backed for years, he cleared the family's debt, a weight he knew was crushing Anna and Mia both. He didn't tell them, he just made it happen, quiet, no strings attached. Then he pulled a few strings to get Anna a better job, office work, fewer hours, more time with her kid. When he saw Mia next, she was different. Her songs at the station weren't desperate anymore, they were joyful, like she was singing for herself, not just survival. Keanu watched from a distance, hands in his pockets, the hum of her guitar settling into his bones. She was changing, growing, but he knew this was only the start. A competition entry, a coach, a lighter load for her mom. It was a lot, but not enough, not yet. Mia deserved more than a moment. She deserved a future where her voice could carry her as far as she dreamed. He was already thinking bigger, ideas forming in the back of his mind. For now, though, he let her sing, let her shine. The rest would come soon enough. Keanu felt the buzz of the crowd long before the lights hit the stage. He sat in the packed auditorium, Mia's mom, Anna, beside him, her hands clasped tight like she was holding her breath. Backstage, he knew Mia was waiting, probably clutching her guitar, her heart pounding loud enough to drown out the noise. He'd driven them here, weaving through city traffic to get to this moment, the national music competition, where Mia's voice would finally meet a stage big enough to hold it. He leaned back, eyes fixed on the curtain, ready for her to shine. Earlier, he'd found her behind the stage, looking small against the chaos of tech crews and polished contestants. Her hands shook, the guitar strap digging into her shoulder. "I can't do this," she'd whispered, eyes wide with panic. "They're all better trained, Fancy. I'm just me." Keanu knelt, meeting her gaze, his voice steady as stone. "You don't need to be them, Mia. You've got something they don't. Your heart. Sing like you did in that subway. For your dad. That's enough. She'd nodded, swallowing hard, and he'd squeezed her hand, feeling her tremble but trusting she'd find her way. Now, the MC called her name, and Keanu's pulse kicked up. Anna grabbed his arm, her grip tight. Mia stepped out, alone under the spotlight, her guitar looking older and more battered against the sleek stage. The crowd hushed. She adjusted the mic, took a breath, and started to sing her dad's song, the one she'd carried through cold nights and empty stations. Her voice was clear, raw, weaving a story of love and loss that hit the room like a wave. Every note was a piece of her grief, her fight, her hope, laid bare for thousands of strangers. Keanu watched, barely breathing. She wasn't just singing, she was telling the truth. The melody rose and fell, her fingers steady on the strings, and the auditorium went still, caught in her spell. He glanced at Anna, saw tears streaking her face, pride and pain mixed together. Mia's voice cracked once, just for a second, but she pushed through, stronger, like she was singing to her dad himself. And when the final note faded, the silence held for a heartbeat. Then the place erupted. Applause thundering, people on their feet. Keanu clapped hard, his chest tight, with something he couldn't name. Mia stepped back, stunned, her eyes scanning the crowd until she found them. Anna was sobbing now, hands pressed to her mouth. Keanu gave her a nod, his grin saying everything he didn't need to. She'd done it, taken her shot and made it count. Backstage, the results came fast. Mia didn't take first, a polished violinist did. But the judges called her up anyway, their words sharp with praise. You've got a gift, one said, handing her a letter, an offer from a top music school, full ride. Another slipped her a card, a small recording deal, a chance to cut her first track. Mia stood there, clutching the papers, looking like she'd just woken up in a new world. She bolted off stage, straight to Keanu and Anna, throwing her arms around them both. I did it, she cried, voice muffled against her mom's shoulder. I did it for him. Anna held her tight, whispering, You made him proud, baby. Keanu stayed quiet, his hand on Mia's back, feeling the weight of her words. She'd carried her dad's dream this far, and now it was hers, real and alive. He stepped back, letting them have their moment, but his mind was already moving. During a break, he found the competition's organizer, a sharp woman named Claire. That girl, he said, nodding toward Mia, she's more than tonight. She fought her way here from nothing. I want to start something for kids like her, with big dreams and no way to get there. He pitched it fast, a scholarship fund, Mia's melody, to give young musicians a shot. Claire listened, eyes narrowing, then nodded. We're in, she said. Announce it tonight. Keanu's heart kicked faster than he'd expected, but right. The night closed with Mia back on stage, invited to sing again. She chose her dad's song, slower this time, her voice steadier, richer. Keanu stood in the wings, watching her glow under the lights. Claire joined him, whispering, The fun's official, starts now. He nodded, his throat tight. This wasn't just about Mia anymore. It was about every kid out there, singing in the dark, waiting for someone to hear. As Mia's voice soared, he felt it. Her victory, her future, and the doors she'd open for others. The crowd roared again, but Keanu's eyes stayed on her, knowing this was only the beginning. Keanu stood backstage, arms crossed, the hum of the packed theater vibrating through him. A year had passed since Mia's night on that competition stage. And now, here she was, no longer the kid shivering in a subway station. The gala for Mia's melody lit up the room. Banners glowing, kids tuning instruments, their chatter blending with the crowd's buzz. He watched Mia, now a confident 13-year-old, step to the mic, her guitar slung over her shoulder like an old friend. She wasn't just here to sing tonight. She was here to lead, to share a story that had grown bigger than either of them imagined. The lights dimmed, and Mia's voice cut through the noise, steady and warm. I used to sing in a subway, she started, her words clear, no trace of the tremble Keanu remembered. Cold, tired, thinking no one cared, I was saving pennies for a dream. My dad's dream, to stand on a real stage. I didn't think I'd make it. But someone stopped. Someone listened. She paused, her eyes finding Keanu in the wings. and everything changed. The crowd leaned in, hanging on her every word, as Mia smiled, a spark in her eyes. That's why we're here tonight. For kids like me, who've got dreams bigger than their pockets. This is Mia's Melody. The room erupted, applause rolling like thunder. Keanu felt his chest tighten. She wasn't just telling her story, she was giving it away, letting it lift others up. He stayed in the shadows, letting her shine. Kids took the stage after her, a boy sawing a violin with fierce joy, a girl spitting rap verses that made the crowd roar. Each one was a scholarship kid, plucked from corners like Mia's, now playing like they owned the place. Keanu's throat caught. This was what he'd seen in her that first night, a spark that could start a fire. Mia stepped back up, holding something small in her hand. "I've got one more thing," she said, her voice softer now. She walked to Keanu, pulling him on stage. He laughed, shaking his head, but followed. She held out a woven bracelet, simple, blue, made with her own hands. "This is for you," she said, loud enough for the mic to catch. "You gave me light when I didn't have any. Now it's yours." Keanu froze, then took it, slipping it on his wrist. His eyes burned, but he grinned, pulling her into a quick hug. "You're killing me, kid," he muttered, voice rough. The crowd cheered, some wiping tears, and Keanu felt it, a wave of something bigger than pride, like he'd found a piece of family he hadn't known he'd lost. Anna joined them, healthier now, her smile wide as she hugged Mia. "You made your dad proud," she whispered, loud enough for the front rows to hear. Keanu stepped back, letting them have the moment. He took the mic next, his voice low but steady. "Mia stood in a subway, singing to nobody," he said. "She had a dream, a big one, and she fought for it. I just listened. That's all it took, stopping, seeing her. Now look at this." He gestured to the stage, the kids, the crowd. "This is her light, spreading to kids who need it. It's our story too, about showing up when it counts." The gala closed with Mia back at the mic, her dad's song rising again. This time, a kids' choir joined her, their voices weaving with hers, filling the theater with something alive, unstoppable. The crowd stood, clapping, crying, swept up in it. Keanu moved to the wings, Anna beside him, her hand brushing his arm. "You gave us this," she said, voice thick. He shook his head. "Mia did. I just opened a door." They watched her, glowing under the lights, her voice carrying years of pain and hope in every line. Keanu's heart was full, fuller than it'd been in a long time. As the final note faded, the applause shook the walls. Kids swarmed Mia, laughing, hugging, their dreams a little closer tonight. Keanu stayed back, his bracelet catching the light. He'd started this for her, but it was theirs now. Hers, Anna's, every kid up there. He thought of his own losses, the holes they'd left, and felt them soften just a bit in this room. Mia caught his eye, waving him over, and he went, Anna trailing behind. "Think Dad's watching?" Mia asked, her voice small but bright. Anna nodded, tears falling. "Every second, honey," Keanu added, rough. "Damn right he is." The stage cleared, but the feeling lingered. Keanu grabbed the mic one last time. "Where are you watching from?" he asked the crowd, a grin breaking through. "What story's got your heart? Share it below. Light starts small, let's keep it going." He stepped off, Mia and Anna close, the bracelet warm on his wrist. This wasn't an end. It was a beginning, a melody that'd keep playing long after the lights went down.